Well, hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm so happy to be joined by Kim Hehir. You say her name, Hehir, and she is one of the co-founders of Brutus Broth. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here. So I actually found out about you guys. I live under a rock because I run our company. And so I only hear about companies when I'm on Instagram mostly. And I saw Tom Davis, the dog trainer, was giving your broth to his new puppy, who's adorable. And so that's how I came to know you. And then I met you in person in Florida at the Global Pet Show, which was really lovely to see all your products. So we're fairly new to each other.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming by and trying to find out a little bit more about bone broth.
Yeah. So let's talk about bone broth, just bone broth for animals. Uh, so one of the cool things I read about it is like there's an old South American proverb that good broth will resurrect the dead. And I love that. It's very old and, it's a little hyperbolic, possibly, but it just goes to show you that for hundreds of years, they've always known about the healing powers of bone broth. So can you tell me just a little bit of why bone broth is so good and let's focus on dogs, not people.
Well, it is similar to people, so it's very good for digestion, similar to how it is for people. But the thing that's really interesting about why it's even better for dogs is because you don't really think about this, but dogs are exposed to toxins in their everyday life. They don't wear shoes and they're out there running through maybe grass that's been treated with pesticides or fertilizers. They're ingesting, let's say, flea and tick medications, or they're lying on a carpet that's been treated with fire retardant chemicals. And all of those toxins are getting into their system. And over time, those toxins build up and result in fatty tumors. So bone broth helps heal leaky gut syndrome. So it has gelatin in to plug those holes, prevent those fatty tumors from growing. It's a natural detoxifier. So there's a lot of great benefits to bone broth. And bone broth naturally has glucosamine that occurs when you boil down the bones. We actually fortify our product with additional glucosamine and for joint health. So it has this serving that a vet would recommend for your dog that might have joint issues. And then we also fortify it with turmeric for inflammation too. So lots of great benefits. Great benefits for skin and coat health, allergies. There's a whole host of things, immune boosting, and it's easy to just add to whatever you're already feeding your dog.
Yeah, that's great. So you add a therapeutic dose of glucosamine chondroitin to it for basically in place of a supplement. That's the supplement.
Yes, that's one of our lines. It's the hip and joint formulation. It's actually really difficult to do that scientifically. We're the only bone broth on the market that is fortified with supplements for functional health. The secret is we actually partnered with a company. Half their business is hotels and restaurants, so we're 100% human grade. But the other half is hunger relief. So they're the people that make the nutrient-rich broths for starving people in third world countries. So they're able to seamlessly infuse supplements into a broth without changing the flavor profile. So, glucosamine is very bitter. Our broth is very tasty. So we're able to do that in a savory way. We also have a skin and coat formula, which is fortified with microalgae oil, which is basically all the benefits of salmon oil without the fish smell. So that's also a great product that we have.
Interesting. And so do you recommend that people reheat yours or just, do you have any instructions on how to limit them overheating it and all that stuff? Because I know there's some sensitivities to, collagen and how if you heat it too high and all that sort of stuff.
No, I mean, you can heat the bone broth. We have a probiotic formula that's coming out by the end of this year. That one you cannot heat because it will kill the probiotics. But the joint supplement one and the skin and coat formula can be heated.
Hey there, this is Rob Ryan. I just want to say how much we enjoy making this content for you here. And if you are enjoying it, would you like our video down below? And would you subscribe to our YouTube channel? It sure does help us get discovered by more people like you who need information like this. And also, down below in our description, the top link is to our trial pack. We hope you'll order one for your dog so your dog can have fermented superfoods that give them nutrition like they can't find anywhere else. Hard to get nutrients that are easily absorbed. Thank you very much. Now back to the show. Yeah, the thing you mentioned about leaky gut and all that, bone broth has a reputation for heal and seal of the gut lining, which is interesting. And so a couple of things for folks listening that bone broth, just a few of the things that bone broth can contain should contain is collagen, healthy fats, of course, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, silicone, sulfur, which is incredible, especially for itchy pets, trace minerals. You mentioned chondroitin and glucosamine, and lysine, which also helps with collagen. Is there anything I missed?
Gelatin, really good for leaky gut.
Yeah, gelatin. Okay, great. Yeah, which carries a lot of the. So that's a good point. Does your stuff come out? How does it come out? Is it? There's so much in. If you get really nerdy with collagen, it's and you don't have to give me the scientific explanation, but can you just give me like an overall, like, how do you make bone broth well? And what is the difference of yours in comparison to the other market?
So I mentioned that we fortify it with supplements. So that's one difference. People always ask, why can't I just buy human broth and give that to my dog? There's two reasons for that. One is that, most human broths contain onions and or garlic, which is not good for dogs. And then most human broths are high in sodium. So those are the reasons not to use a human broth. But bone broth is not. It takes a long time to make it because you have to boil down the bones to get all the good stuff out. So it takes a long time, and we do that in a commercial facility, like I mentioned earlier. And we actually sell a bone broth that is in a liquid format, and we also have one that is a freeze-dried format. So it comes in a powder, and then you add water at home. So we freeze-dry it. It's basically boiled down and freeze-dried. So we have two different formulations.
Wow. Would there be any degradation or difference in the freeze-dried versus the and do people buy freeze-dried for the convenience of like traveling or something?
Yeah, there is. It's convenient to travel. There's no difference in the formulation at all. It's the same product. It's just the one with the liquid has the water. The other one does not. People with smaller dogs actually like the freeze-dried because they can make it as they go. With our product, once it's reconstituted with water, it's good for up to 30 days in the refrigerator. So some people who might have a smaller dog might want to make a smaller amount. Our hero products are the 32 ounce. So some people feel like my dog's not going to have 32 ounces in a month because they're 5 pounds. They might get the freeze-dried. And we also have people use it as a dry topper too. People who are raw feeders sometimes just use it they sprinkle it on as a dry topper. So it's very versatile.
That's tasty. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So if you have a small dog and you were to give it, 20 ounces and they just like to drink and they drank it all, is that a problem?
No, the only problem I would think is that if they have a very poor diet to begin with, sometimes we do have people who don't know how to use it. They're not, introducing it like any new food. You want to introduce it somewhat slowly, but people who might be kibble feeding and then they give their dog a big bowl of broth. And I basically equate it to like, if you eat McDonald's every day and you go on a juice cleanse, what do you think is going to happen to you? So You want to introduce it slowly, add to what you're already feeding your dog. We do have a lot of people who, let's say, are hunters. They use that for like a Gatorade for their dog. We have a partnership with a military working dog organization. They use it for their working dogs. We have a lot of vets who use it when they have a sick dog who can't eat solid food, and they use the bone broth to kind of introduce nutrients slowly to the dog. So we have a lot of different groups that use our product for different reasons that might be feeding it to a dog in just the liquid form. Most people just add it to their dog's food at every meal.
Right. Okay, cool. So back to my question, which was, can you overdose on it? The answer is no. And that's
No.
because it's a food.
Right.
Right. I mean, that would be obviously different than your Fortified with, say, glucosamine and chondroitin, and then you would end up getting more glucosamine and chondroitin than your dog needed. So we have to say
Yeah, we are Fortified, but I'm not a vet, but we work with a lot of vets, and they basically have told, because we've asked this question, we've had people ask this question, it's pretty hard to overdose on glucosamine and chondroitin. So that's the line the vets have given us. So I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah. Good. But you have others that are not Fortified, right?
All of our bone broths are Fortified. So
all of them are.
That's kind of our shtick. It's we fortify bone broth for functional health. It's great on its own, but we add to it.
Okay, that's great. So can you give me a little bit of, obviously I'm sure one of your pleasures like mine is pouring through, reviews and comments that get emailed to you. Can you give us any examples of experiences dogs have before, like what their situation was before and then after bone broth?
Sure. We get those every single day. It's really what reminds me of why I'm working so hard and never take a break. But we have people, it really ranges from people who are like, my dog wouldn't be able to climb the stairs, and now they're running up and down the stairs and jumping on the couch, to people who contact us and say, I can't thank you enough for this product. My dog was really sick. The vet said my dog would live 1 to 2 weeks. I found your product, and that was 2 years ago. So we get comments like that every single day, which is amazing because we know, our product is very, very high quality. Our manufacturer says you can cut costs if you decrease the quality of your ingredients. Your broth is better ingredients than most restaurants, but that's something that we won't do. We know you have a great product and we know it works. And people refer to it as puppy crack because once your dog starts eating their meal with Brutus broth on top, they won't eat without it, which is a great problem for us to have.
Right. I bet. Well, now I'm going to start pouring through your reviews because I think it's so fascinating. I think it's a good way for people also to decide if a product is right for them. Go through the reviews, not for the usual reasons you go through reviews, but to actually be inspired and see how it's helping animals in the real application.
Yeah.
So with regards to bone broth, so I almost feel like because yours are Fortified, I know there are a lot of dogs, cats, especially cats, but there's plenty of dogs who they won't do pills, they won't do powders. This seems like a good way to get some of those functional nutrients into them. Do you serve a lot of those dogs?
We do. And actually that's one of the biggest comments we get from our veterinarian community is that it's a great way to have an animal who needs like glucosamine, who won't take the pills. This is a great way to do that because it's tasty. So you're getting the functional benefits, but it's also tasty.
Yeah, right. I get that. So what else do you sell on your website at brutusbroth.com?
So we have all of our different broths in the liquid format and in the freeze-dried format. We actually just came out with a cookbook that just launched a few weeks ago. We had our broth is very versatile. We had so many people that are making recipes and sharing recipes with us. We had some celebrity chefs. We have influencers. We have a variety of different people. So we compiled all of those recipes into a cookbook, which is now available for purchase on our website and Amazon. We also have Brutus Broth biscuits, which are biscuits that are infused with the the bone broth. They're low fat, low calorie, high protein. They're crunchy biscuits. And we have some new ones that will be coming out later this summer. And then we have a limited release of our puppy popsicle, which is called brothsicle, that will be available in the next few weeks on our website for a limited time. We only did a limited run of these. They're all natural. They're ambient, so you can, when you get home, you put it in the freezer and freeze it. But it took us over 2 years to develop that product, because for us, everything has to be all natural. And that's a real science experiment, but it's a great product. Has kale, cranberries, like a lot of great ingredients infused in there.
Our, for us Gen Xers and before, it's like an Otter Pop, right?
It's an Otter Pop for dogs. Yep.
That's right. Yeah. It's very cute. I saw that in person. So you're going to be coming up with some new products that aren't released yet and not announced yet. When can we see those?
Those we will be debuting at Super Zoo in August. So we have a few new products, all with bone broth infused in them, but some really fun ones, some things that are somewhat new takes on some existing products, but we're excited to launch those.
Okay, cool. So that's a little bit of a hint, something infused with bone broth. Okay, interesting. All right.
We're the bone broth people, so everything has to have some bone broth in it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's great. So tell me real quick, like, how'd you get into this? I'm going to go backwards a bit. When'd you get into this? How'd you get into it? Give us your story, and your co-founder as well.
So my sister is my co-founder. This really was revolving around her dog, Brutus. Brutus was 135 pounds. She had rescued him from a high kill shelter. And when she rescued him, he was a little bit of an older dog. He had no fur on his face and chest. He had mange. He was really sick. So she basically nursed him back to health using bone by adding it to his food. And she would always add it to his food. And as he aged, people would always ask, what do you feed your dog? He's super active. He's huge. And at the time, he was getting up in years. And one Thanksgiving, my brother, who's in the food industry, asked the same question, how the heck is Brutus still alive? At the time, he was 12. And so for a 135-pound dog to live that long and be active is not common. And she said, everybody asks me that question, including my vet. But it's this bone broth. And he said, well, where do you buy it? And she said, I make it. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find anything on the market that was pet safe. I did find something in a high-end boutique in the back freezer. It was really expensive. It looked really unappetizing. So I just make it. He said, well, if everyone's asking you and you can't find it anywhere, you should think about this as a business. And so she was like, I don't know. And he said, call Kim. She has a really good business background. At the time, I was living in Honolulu. I had left the corporate world of Manhattan to raise my children, who at the time I was not seeing very often because I had a crazy job working in New York City, and took a break. My husband was commuting between New York City and Tokyo, so we were living in Honolulu, and I was getting bored. And I said, let me do the research. I don't really know anything about the pet world, but I know about business. And so long story short, we saw there was an opportunity. We partnered with best-in-class manufacturers. We worked with a lot of vets. I went to Cornell, so worked with the Cornell Vet School. We really, the point in business is you have a good idea and the fundamentals are there. You don't need to know it all. You need to hire people that know it all, so partner with the right people. And so we partnered with the right food scientists, veterinarians. We had a huge group of people that worked to help us get where we are. And we launched, and it's been 6 years. So it's been quite the ride. And we really wanted to make a high quality, affordable, accessible, convenient product for all pet parents. We didn't want to price it so high that it was unattainable for a lot of people. We grew up with our mom buying our dog's food at the grocery store. So for us, it was really important to make it accessible to everybody.
Yeah. What is obviously you can give it every day. We've kind of covered that. But what would you say would be the minimum? And I know this is a question of like, depends on the dog. It's always dependent on the animal. But what would you say would be minimally viable dosage? Like, every other day, every third day, every fifth day? What to get the benefits of it? When would you say you'd want to make sure you at least get bone broth in your pet?
We say a splash a day keeps the vet away. So every day. This is something I add to my dogs every single meal. I have an old golden retriever with hip dysplasia, and she runs 3 miles a day with me. And she's, she most people are like, how old is your dog? And she's running like that. So I think it works.
Right. So splash. Okay. And then, so with what with all the people you've brought in, the veterinarians and all that, have you done anything like testing wise or anything like that? Cause I'm just curious, like, this is such good stuff, tell me more about that.
Yeah, we have not done the formal testing. We've been completely bootstrapped. It's my sister and I. So we haven't gone through the expense to do that. We've done shelf life testing for our product. Our product has gone through FDA, USDA, and AAFCO quality control. So because we're manufactured in a human facility, we have to go through USDA and FDA. So all the quality testing there, all of the safety testing, shelf life testing, all microbiology, all of that testing we've done, but we haven't done testing with like dog studies over time. Just because it's so expensive.
They're super difficult. And once you start getting into that, you can quickly see how hard it is to get all the dogs on the same schedule, same food, same standardized, or you have to go to one of these I'm not for a lot of the dogs that are in labs that are getting tested on, because it's easier for that kind of operation to do a good test because they control the everything they eat, when they eat, and all of that. It's really difficult and it's really expensive. But I guess what I was meaning more is, and I'm not even sure how meaningful that is. It's okay. It satisfies some people, but I guess like you've probably done like nutrient testing. Like, do you have any information on that? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've done all of the microbiology testing, like I mentioned. So everything had from a food safety and efficacy for the supplements and all of that testing, but we haven't done, like I said, the dog testing that you were discussing.
No. Yeah. Well, I find that's, it feels like this, because there's such great nutrients in bone broth, it's probably a really amazing opportunity to see what percentage of protein, percentage of collagen. I don't know if those tests exist because I've never looked into it, but it would seem.
Yeah, they do. We do all of that. It's, there's third-party labs that do all that testing. So we do all that testing. So, for every single product we develop, it goes to a third-party lab. And then, of course, FDA, USDA, and then, of course, AAFCO, which is the animal feed group that is regulated state by state, which is not an easy feat either. So people,
and you have to
I don't think
with
realize.
That. You have to comply with that because you're considered a food?
Yes. Every single state has different requirements. So it's actually harder to get a pet food passed than a human food because you're dealing with 50 different regulatory bodies, not just one. So
yeah, wow. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
I know it is. They're saying that the FDA might take it over though, which we would love. It would make our lives so much easier.
Okay. Well, that could be amazing. It could be a nightmare. Let's hope for the amazing. Let's hope for the former. So if people want to purchase your product, are you in pet stores everywhere? Or you just sell direct online? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we are in about 10,000 stores nationwide. We're also
Wow.
on Amazon, Chewy, our website. So you can find us in most grocery stores. So, like I mentioned earlier, my sister and I felt very strongly that you shouldn't have to be a millionaire to feed your dog good, healthy food. So we try really, really hard. We do really high production runs to keep our costs down.
Mm.
So you can find us in most grocery stores, but we're also in like Petco, PetSmart, and online. So Chewy, Amazon, like I mentioned.
Yeah, well, that's great. You're making sense to me here on many fronts, but the high production runs to keep your costs down, that's a great way to keep really high quality and keep the product affordable.
Yeah. And our
Yeah.
product is aseptically packed. So that's kind of the gold standard in packaging. So the liquid bone broth, which is what we sell in the grocery stores, the freeze dried is only available online. Mostly because, to be quite frank, it's the liquid bone broths do not travel well. So when they get up to UPS likes to throw them at people's front doors and it doesn't always make it. So it will leak, the cap will break off or
Oh,
whatever. But the freeze dried version we developed really to for the e-commerce channels, and it's great for travel as well. So
yeah.
um but yeah, it's it's been an interesting business.
I bet. I bet it sounds like one. I mean, it sounds, it's so funny. All these businesses, they're so interesting to talk to people like you because you uncover these challenges. It's, I mean, nobody's playing the violin for us. That's not why we're going through this, but it's all these businesses, in order to do a really high quality product it takes a lot of effort and a lot of thought and a lot of sometimes trial and error, like,
And money.
sending and yeah, thank you. And money. Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been great. I really appreciate this lesson on bone broth. Is there anything else that we didn't cover about bone broth? Because I'm all ears.
I think it's just, I always tell people it's like giving your child a multivitamin. It really does so many amazing things, and it's easy just to add it to your everyday routine. So, dogs from 6 weeks old, we say, until the end, you can feed it to them. And I always tell people, because some people think, oh, my dog's not a senior dog, they don't need the glucosamine. But I'm like, well, do you start going to the gym after you have the heart attack, or do you start going so you don't get the heart attack? So it's really a great way for the preventative health. All those benefits can really help any dog. So that's
Mm.
really, I guess, one of the biggest things.
Well, at my company and with our vet, Dr. Billinghurst, we always advocate for whole foods always when we can, based uh, supplementation and nutrition. So, to that end, I think bone broth is great and all the benefits. His first book was Give Your Dog a Bone. He's very pro bone and cartilage and all the tissue that goes along with it, raw meaty bones. And this is just another way to get the really great stuff, into your dog or cat. Do cats drink bone broth?
They actually do. Our product is safe for cats. We just
Mhm.
haven't gone through again, we're self-funded, family owned. We have to go through 50 states of AFCO, redo all the packaging.
Yeah.
It's a very costly. So we are going to be starting with a salmon flavored bone. It's an unbone broth actually, because it's actually vegan, but it's like a superfood. It's like an athletics greens for
Mm.
pets. So similar to what you were saying about whole food diet, we don't believe dogs should be vegans, but we believe that an animal needs a balanced diet. So um, we will be starting with that, but it's actually salmon flavored. It's the microalgae oil, and it's nutritional yeast. So that's how we get the salmon flavor. But that's the one I was talking about earlier. That's all the benefits of salmon oil without the fishy smell. And I taste all these batches, and that actually is my favorite one. I didn't think I would like it when our formulators came up with it, and I was like, actually, really good. So it's a great
Wow.
product.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Well, that's so interesting. I'm so happy to be able to to have met you and to talk to you today, Kim. And so everybody just go to brutusbroth.com, and you can also see, like, you have a store locator. You can see
Yep.
where it's sold in your local area, and you look on Amazon if you want, or go to brutusbroth.com and just buy direct from them. Right?
Yep. Thank you very
All
much,
right.
Rob.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. It was a pleasure. I'll look forward to seeing you pretty soon at Super Zoo, which is, for those of you who don't know what it is, I think it's the largest pet show in America or in the world. One of
It's
those.
like, what is it? They say 40,000 pet professionals under one roof, something like
Yep,
that. So
that's right.
let your mind go wild.
Oh my gosh, yes. All right, well, we'll look forward to seeing you then. Everybody, thanks for watching, and Bone Broth. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Rob.